Okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to this session. I hope I'm audible, visible. Both of us are. We also live on YouTube now. So, audience on YouTube, welcome to today's session. Hi. Good morning to people living the other side of the world. Great. Chirag, hi. So, people who are joining in, just leave your name and the city that you're from. My name is Aparna. I'm going to be your host today, and we are going to understand what your agile career roadmap should be. Yes, Muhammad, good morning. Leave your name and the city that you're from. My name is Aparna. I'm from Bangalore, India. Maria from Pune, and from Dallas. Swati, good evening. Akash from Pune. Lamar from New York. Nice to have you. Kanchan from Mumbai. Augustine, Senegal. Okay. Anjali, welcome. Hi, people on YouTube. Sarah, you're from Montreal. Okay. Enoch from Lagos, Nigeria. Yes, before you guys have any more questions about the recording, the session is being recorded. You will receive a certificate towards the end. Yeah, Rashmi from London, Prashant, you're from Bangalore, Shazma from Kerala. Welcome, everyone. And also welcome to people joining from YouTube. Leave us a hi so we know you're here. That's where we're going to interact. So I'm going to be looking at the comments on YouTube as well. Okay, Vikas, you're from Bangalore as well. Welcome, Vikas. Aruna from USA. Ridha from Kerala. Nice to have you, Ridha. We're just having a few more people who will join and then we'll get started. Okay, Stuti, you're from Delhi. Okay, if you haven't given your introduction yet, please leave that on the chat. Okay, Sabaide is from Laos again. Imran is from Indore. Welcome, Imran. Yogesh, you're from Hyderabad. Larry, you're from Texas as well. George is from Ontario. Okay, Sangeeta. Good evening, good morning, everyone. So here's what we're going to be covering today. You are going to understand mostly about the CSM certification, about how you can build your agile career. And we have Bryan with us, who's going to take you through the session. I'll introduce him to you very, very shortly. And towards the end, you will also understand how the CSM certification training and also the other courses that we have in the Agile and Scrum bucket, how they will build your skills and make you ready for an agile career. Okay. And I'll also be explaining to you the enrollment steps, and towards the end, we will have the Q&A, right? So about a few questions that we keep getting on the chat and on the Q&A box is about the recording. So remember that the session is being recorded, and if you have questions about the recording, remember you will receive the recording, be rest assured, with the certificate. That I'll show you the certificate towards the end. So we'll collect your name from, as a part of a Zoom poll, and that's how we'll give you the certificate, right? Now, about questions. So let's say you have any question to ask, please put them on the Q&A box, because on the chat box, we might miss these questions and then they might be left unanswered. So leave them on the Q&A box, and Bryan will be there to answer these questions. And also keep the questions relevant to what is being covered, the core topic of the session. Remember what I said about recording certificate. You will receive it towards the end. This is for people who are joining in right now. Okay. And also, let's say you have questions about the course, specific questions about the course that we're talking about, you will be given the link to the course page. You can check all the details there. Of course, we'll also be explaining the details as a part of the session, but let's say there's something that you still want to know more about it, please enter the link. I mean, you can go on the course page and reach out to a learning advisor there, right? So I'll guide you through these steps towards the end, but remember, please keep your questions specific and relevant to what is being covered. Yeah? Is that clear to everyone? Again, people on YouTube, I hope you're clear there as well. The topic today is how you can build your agile career. What is the roadmap that you should be following? Nazmul, that's the agenda for today. Welcome, Ibrahim, and welcome everyone else. Yeah. So if you're clear with the ground rules, just a quick thumbs up on the chat, because I don't want to be repeating this and distracting you guys from the session. Is that okay? Are these ground rules fine? Yeah. Okay. So in between, I'll also be launching a bunch of polls. So you can kind of answer or leave your responses on the poll for us to understand you better. Okay. And sometimes I might also be switching the chat box off. So remember, always use the Q&A box for the questions. Great. All of you are ready. Yeah. So before we start, let's also understand what Simplilearn is. So Simplilearn offers courses on various skills, various digital skills. You could be upskilling yourself in AI, ML, data, cybersecurity, cloud computing, also in Agile and Scrum, which is the agenda for today. Yeah. So we've touched more than 5 million careers worldwide, and we've got students from more than 150 countries across the world. Yeah. And we've got 800 plus qualified trainers, and that is how our courses have empowered people to take on better opportunities and upskill themselves with skills that are in demand. Okay, so that's a little bit about Simplilearn. Now I'll leave it to Bryan to introduce himself. So Bryan, over to you.
Sure. Thanks so much, Parna. Yeah, and great to see so many people from around the world. That's always kind of an exciting part of these webinars for me, is just seeing how many folks from different parts of the world are interested in these topics. So a bit about me. So first off, thank you, Bryan Campbell. That's my name. I have a lot of background and experience in both traditional project management. That's where the PMP, PGMP, and some of the other PMI-oriented certification acronyms come from. But a great deal of experience specifically in the Agile domain. So I have been working in kind of Agile settings since way back in 2000. That was my first large-scale Agile transformation. If you're kind of familiar with this space, you'll know that was before there was even things like an Agile manifesto and Scrum. So a fair amount of knowledge, experience working with different practices. And a question that I often get asked is, hey, what's the best way for me to strengthen my Agile skills? And a lot of interest in taking some courses, certification. So we spend a lot of time helping folks answer those questions. So this is a great webinar topic. I'm excited to spend some time on this. Just by way of, what do I do for a living? Well, I work with companies who are interested in answering questions like, how can we get the most from Agile? We know Agile's a really effective way to kind of organize people, but how can we do it in our organization? So oftentimes these are pretty big companies. The list there, those are all kind of Fortune 100, Fortune 250 size companies. So they're typically, tens of thousands of employees. But a lot of these concepts, these practices, in fact, Aparna and I are chatting before the session, apply to every part of your life, whether it's in work or even in your personal settings. So lots of opportunities here. I think this is a great topic for even folks who are very experienced and working in big companies, or hey, you're kind of new to this and you just want to learn more.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bryan, for setting the stage. Before we proceed and understand this more in detail, we'd love to know more about you guys. So I'm going to launch a poll. Let me know what your work experience is. Now, this is overall work experience, not necessarily specific to Agile or Scrum, right? So just click on whatever option is the most suitable to you. People on YouTube, you could leave a message on the live chat. Yeah. If you're less than 2 years, you're a fresher, less than 2 years is the best option. If you have more than 10 years of experience, then the last option. Yeah. So we're going to be keeping the poll live for another 30 seconds. Remember, I will keep the poll live just for 1 minute so that we save time and proceed to the session. So make sure you answer the poll question. as soon as it's launched. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Amazing. 75% of you have answered. Okay. Just about 10 seconds. Also, folks on YouTube, you are, okay, 6 to 10 years is where you fall into. Okay. Anyone else on YouTube would like to leave their response, please do that. Please feel free to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to end the poll and share the results with Bryan here. Bryan, you can see that, okay, nearly half of them have more than 10 years of experience. They carry some amount of experience and maybe some understanding of what we're covering today. Okay, so here we go. You're going to get a career roadmap on how you can build your agile career. So over to you, Bryan, again.
Yeah, so it's great to see the range of experience. As I mentioned, I think this is going to speak to folks who are either kind of new in their career, or maybe learning a little bit more about Agile, or those who've got a little bit more time in the work environment. This is also going to be, I think, a really good topic to spend a little time on. And so one of the first things, obviously, we want to start with is just the value of Agile certifications. One of the interesting things about Agile, and just to maybe give you kind of a sense of why this is so interesting to organizations. There's been so much movement to embracing Agile practices. As I mentioned, I do a lot of work teaching project management certifications. And if you take that certification, you're going to reference something called the Project Management Body of Knowledge, or the PMBOK. And that is about 1,000-page, very detailed description of effective project management practices. So you can imagine something that large is going to take you a lot of time to read, to absorb, to understand. Taking that certification is also a pretty significant investment in time. Contrast that to the Scrum Guide, which the Certified Scrum Master, the CSM, is based on. The Scrum Guide is only 13 pages long. So immediately you get a sense of, oh, that's obviously a lot more accessible. Many people are going to be able to kind of spend the time, reading that, understanding and applying it. So this is a big reason there's so much interest in making that shift for organizations to these lighter weight delivery frameworks like Scrum. But the certifications that come behind this are also very important. So it's lightweight, it's very accessible. This is a great entry point into a more agile-oriented career, and it is very accessible. But that certification is kind of an important indicator, a signal to prospective employers or even within your organization that you do understand and can apply some of these techniques. So now the other part of this is, in addition, of course, we want to get an Agile certification, put that on our LinkedIn profile, on our resume. But also there's a lot of really important skills enhancement that comes with learning about Agile. And for many people, this is going to feel, a little unfamiliar. There's going to be some ideas and topics covered in Scrum and Agile that are quite progressive, that are new. And I think this is a great opportunity to kind of enhance your current skill set. So if you're one of the folks on today's session that has, 10 plus years of experience, hopefully that's a signal that you are doing well in your career, making progress. And a lot of these ideas are actually going to be a real nice complement to that and help you grow into your career. And what I can share with you is this: as you probably saw, I work with many very, very large organizations. Every single one of them has expectations that their employees, that their staff have some of these Agile skills. So this is going to give you lots of opportunities to expand your career options and to progress into more and more responsibility in your career.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, so now might not surprise you, in an area that has a lot of interest and a lot of demand, that there are lots of different certifications we can consider. So you see a collection of them here. So the CSM, which we're kind of focusing on today, is the foundation, and this is a great entry-level, very accessible certification that is particularly well suited for people who want to be a Scrum Master. It's called a Certified Scrum Master. So if that's a path that interests you, then this is going to be a strong fit. And even if you're perhaps interested in other sort of career paths, maybe you're a more, traditional project manager managing larger project implementations, a lot of the ideas that this Scrum Master certification is going to provide are actually going to be really valuable in that setting. So this is a good place to start. It's really going to help you understand just what is Agile, what is Scrum. So you'll be very familiar with the Scrum set of practices. And then you'll notice we have a CSPO. That's a certified product owner, and there's different flavors of that product owner certification. The CSPO is a very well recognized one. And what that focuses on is a particular role. And when we get our Scrum Master certification, we'll learn about there's 3 roles. One is a Scrum Master, the other is the product owner, and the third role is the team. So the product owner, the certified product owner certification, focuses on how that product owner role should work, how to manage what's called the backlog. That's all the work that needs to get done. The product owner is the one responsible for that. And that's a really important part of most organizations because they have products. These products are the things they deliver to their customers. So if you're a product owner, you're very close to kind of an important part of that delivery mechanism that delivers value to customers. So good kind of next step up once you get that entry-level CSM. Then we have the PMI ACP, and that stands for Agile Certified Professional. Now, this one has a kind of a wider aperture. So instead of just looking narrowly at the Scrum set of practices, it brings in a lot of other Agile techniques and approaches that include things that you might have heard of, like extreme programming. You might have heard topics like creating user stories, maybe even heard terms like story points, how we use relative estimating to estimate effort in Agile projects. So the ACP kind of covers a little bit more of that ground, bit more of an investment in terms of time and preparation, but the reward is you really signal to employers and your organization that you understand a wider variety of Agile techniques and practices. And then finally, we have SAFE. And SAFE is an acronym that stands for the Scaled Agile Framework. And this is for typically much larger organizations that have lots and lots of Agile teams. And a question that emerges is we've got these small little Agile teams all busily working together. How do we kind of bring that into sort of a larger program or a portfolio? How do we kind of align that work where there might be dependencies across different Agile teams? SAFE is a framework that helps with that. So if you're really kind of interested in expanding your Agile skills into more enterprise settings, SAFE is a really good destination to kind of focus on. All right.
Great. So I'm just going to go over to the next slide, the career paths that people can take up.
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, Scrum Master is sort of, step one in that Agile sort of education and career path and journey. It's a good foundation. Now, I should say that it's not the only Agile foundational certificate available. There are others out there, but I think what is generally recognized as CSM is by far and away the most popular. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is it's very accessible. There's no experience required. You don't have to have any prerequisite certifications necessary. It's really oriented around people that just want to get that foundation. So that makes it very accessible. It's a globally recognized certification, so it's popular around the world. And it also is very impactful whether you are an individual contributor on a team, if you are perhaps one of these roles like a Scrum Master or product owner. You could be a leader, you could be working in another part of sort of a delivery function like accounting or finance or maybe marketing and sales. All of this, these skills that you learn in the CSM will apply across all those different role types. So excellent starting point. Now, once you've kind of got this foundation, you've had some time to maybe apply these techniques, get a little bit more exposed to them, you're going to open up some more paths in terms of other certifications. So the next ones that are often good steps forward would be roles like a product owner. And we talked a bit about that. That's one of the 3 roles in the Scrum framework. And this is really important to many organizations. A lot of organizations are making a shift from project-centric to product-centric organizations. So what that really means is there's a bit less emphasis on thinking of sort of these time box projects that start with a certain amount of, scope and budgets and schedule, and shift more to products where we're organizing enhancements and features and maybe operational support around a product, and using that to determine how much we want to invest in that product based on the values giving to our customers. So big shift kind of occurring across many industries and organizations, moving from project to product-centric delivery. Being a product owner is going to be really valuable in those settings. And then finally, as I mentioned, we've got sort of these end states. When you start progressing in your career, you start thinking of perhaps more leadership roles. Well, this is where we're going to see things like a program manager certification, a transformation lead. You're helping lots of teams kind of embrace, adopt, and apply these ideas, these concepts. And then we've got the SAFe certified sort of enterprise agile leader. These are opportunities and roles that are covering typically pretty large programs and portfolios. You might have hundreds, possibly even thousands of people working together in an agile way. So, so lots of rich opportunities here to progress your career, but it all starts with that CSM.
Got it. Understood. I think someone had that question already. Is a CSM a prerequisite for these roles?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great question. So interestingly, it's not really a prerequisite. So no one's going to say, oh, you can't take your SAFe certification unless you have a CSM or even a product owner certification. But it's a really good starting point, because it's going to kind of paint the picture of what Agile is about. In fact, you're going to hear a lot about Agile mindset and Agile behaviors, which are sort of the ways in which we need to work together to get the value from Agile. And then you'll hear about practices. How do we do that? Well, we have a sprint planning event, and we have daily stand-ups and reviews and retros that tell you a little bit more on how to do it. So the CSM is a good place to start, but there's no one saying that you have to start with that.
Got it. Okay, great. Yeah, some skills that people need to have.
Exactly. So yeah, so you can see here, this is about Agile leadership, but it's really also about just good Agile behavior. So what kind of skills are we looking for people that want to kind of follow that path into more of an Agile career? Well, one is facilitation. A lot of what Agile emphasizes is bringing people together so they can collaborate, so they can interact. So facilitation becomes really important. How do you help people have impactful conversations, make decisions, maybe progress work? So a lot of that involves facilitation. So there's a lot of good facilitation skills that you'll learn in the CSM and also apply. Team leadership, and often this is in the form of what's called servant leadership. So you're really focusing on how to enable the teams so they can solve their own problems, that run into roadblocks or issues, they know how to get those resolved. And then engaging with your stakeholders. These are the people that want the results of the work that the team is completing. And a good way to do that is keep them involved and check in with them and show them working solutions so they can give you feedback and say, yeah, that's what I want, or no, we need to make some adjustments here or there. So a lot of the skills you're going to be learning and developing along this path, but within the CSM, are going to be oriented in these spaces. And then there will be some practices you're going to want to develop and get some skills in applying, specifically these Scrum ceremonies. Ceremonies is sort of a fancy word for meetings. So there's 4 defined Scrum meetings. Good news, there's not too many, there's just 4. And those are the sprint planning. So we start each one of these sprints. And if you're not familiar with a sprint, that's just a time box period in which we're going to get work done. And for a lot of organizations, that's often 2 weeks. So we're going to start that 2-week sprint with a planning event. We're going to say, hey, let's get together and talk about what can we do in the next 2 weeks. And once the team sort of made that decision, this is what we can commit to. We feel good that we can get this delivered in 2 weeks. And every day we have another meeting, and that's the daily stand-up. sometimes called the Scrum. And that's just an opportunity for the team to get together, check in on what they did yesterday, what they're planning to do today, and how they're progressing towards the goals of the sprint, and if they got any issues or blockers. And then we finish the sprint with a review. That's an opportunity to bring those stakeholders in, show the work that was completed, get their feedback. And then after that's completed, we do what's called a retrospective. Retrospective is an opportunity to just ask, hey, what could we do better? What maybe didn't work so well that we can do differently next time? And that's it. That's your 4 meetings. Now, there's another one kind of in the background called backlog refinement. This is where that product owner is going to make sure the backlog reflects the most important things that need to get done. And those are at the top. And then we've got good details around those so the team can pull them. But the good news is these are all pretty light. And you're going to find that they're kind of, most of them, I think, pretty intuitive. So you'll learn them pretty quickly. And then you'll apply them. And then finally, you'll develop some skills in how to solve problems and resolve conflicts and foster that collaboration and trust within a team.
Understood, understood. So now is what steps should one be following if they're getting started?
That's a great question. So, every journey starts with a single step. So I think it's good that people are here right now. That's probably the very, very first step. Get oriented around what the options are, learn about what paths are available, but then make that move. Make that move to say, hey, I'm going to commit to something. I'm going to get my certification. And as I mentioned, the CSM is a very accessible one. Most people typically don't have to invest a lot of energy into preparing for it. And when they take it, they get a lot from it. And then the certification test exam at the completion of it is, pretty straightforward. So I think generally speaking, this is a great starting point for most people. Once you've got that CSM, you're going to be exposed to a lot of these ideas and concepts. So great opportunity to start networking. Network with a team or people that you did your training with. That's a great starting point. Simplilearn's got some really powerful sort of community building mechanisms to kind of keep you in touch with other folks you're learning with. Networking is so valuable in identifying opportunities and kind of help you advance your career. And then once you've got that first opportunity to kind of apply these skills, then grow them, start working and getting some hands-on experience, applying Agile, learning, growing Agile. Oftentimes, as most of us are familiar, you're going to take a course and it's going to sound great, but when you start applying it, that's when the real learning comes in. So you'll develop a lot of new knowledge and experience based on that application. And that's a great opportunity then to stay updated on the latest trends. And of course, some of them are things that we've been hearing a lot lately. AI, how's that AI going to affect some of these Agile practices? That's one easy example. But there's also been a lot of awareness that has grown since Agile was first introduced over 20 years ago. At the time, I think it was really kind of oriented around how teams work together. I think now we've got some new questions starting to emerge and some new techniques around how to quantify value. Like, how do we know this is the right thing to do? How do we break work down into small pieces so we can unlock that value early? So there's a lot of interesting ideas starting to emerge, and that's where you'd want to continue to get plugged into, and then that would help you identify the next certification you can get.
Got it. All right. Great. Thanks for those insights, Bryan. Now, time for another question to you guys. So now that you've understood your entire roadmap and what kind of skills you need to possess, we are going to ask you this question. What is exactly stopping you from pursuing the Agile career that you always wanted, right? So it's coming up on the Zoom poll here on your screens. So please answer whatever is relevant to you guys. Also, people on YouTube, you can use the live chat to answer this question. So yeah, whatever option seems the most appropriate to you. Yeah. One is you feel you don't have practical exposure, or your work schedule does not allow, you feel that the curriculum is not good enough, or you find it hard to learn from pre-recorded lessons. Yeah. Whatever the option is, remember, I'm going to keep the poll live for only 1 minute. So we're about 15 seconds away. Please make it a little quick. Yeah. Okay. Okay, only about half of you have responded. Just going to keep it live for a few more seconds. Great. I'm just going to end the poll here. And here you go, Bryan. You can see that. Okay. Their work schedule does not allow, or sometimes they feel they don't have the practical exposure. I mean, it's an equal mix.
It is,
People
yeah.
feel that all these are concerns that they have. And that is where the Certified Scrum Master certification training comes into picture. So what you have is you've got 16 hours of live instructor-led sessions. You've got guaranteed to run interactive sessions with the instructor, so you could answer, I mean, get your doubts answered, you get your questions answered. Yes, and all these sessions are conducted by experienced certified Scrum trainers. Okay, so you get some bonuses as well, along with all of this, all of the access to instructors and a curriculum. So you get access to 15 value addition courses that are worth $500. And along with that, you get PDUs and SEUs for continual learning support. Yeah. So also, on top of all this, you get access to Scrum Alliance membership for 2 years. Yes. So all of this is a part of the course. More about the course in a while. Bryan, if you could take them through the curriculum and the learning path that they'll follow.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, you've already kind of highlighted some important observations there. It's really going to prepare you for sort of getting a good understanding of Agile itself, and then some of the practices that come with that. So you'll see that we start with just a gentle introduction to what is Agile, get us grounded there. And once we kind of get familiar with this concept of Agile and an Agile mindset, we're going to turn our attention to kind of the, I guess, the centerpiece of Agile, which is the Agile Manifesto. This is what was developed really at the start of the Agile movement. And this is still available. You can go to agilemanifesto.org. You can see what was developed there. There's 4 values, 12 principles that we're going to spend time on, make sure we're familiar with and comfortable with, because that is entirely what Scrum is based on. So we've got the Agile Manifesto kind of well understood. We'll start looking at Scrum. That's that 13-page methodology that I mentioned earlier. It is supported by 3 pillars, sort of 3 important kind of concepts that guide all the Scrum practices. Once you're familiar with that, we'll dig into the Scrum values. We'll look at the team. The team is the group that needs to work together to deliver something of value to our customers. I mentioned the 3 roles: the Scrum Master, the product owner, and the development team itself. And then once we've got that sort of well understood, we'll shift our attention to understanding what is this thing called the product backlog. And that's just another way to describe sort of all the work that needs to get done. And we're just going to keep that in one sort of stack ranked value-based backlog. And then we'll look at some Scrum artifacts. These are things like our Scrum sprint. So how long is our sprint? When should our sprint start and finish? Some of the ceremonies that go into supporting our sprints. So by the time you get to the completion of this 16-hour, 2 days course, you're going to be very well prepared to start applying Scrum. So whether or not this is something you're brand new doing, you can immediately start structuring yourself around some of these Scrum practices. Or if you're working in a team that's already using Scrum, you'll probably learn a little bit about, some ideas that may enhance and strengthen the way you're working as a team right now. Oh, you're on mute though, Aparna.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Right. So a few questions that you might have is whether you need a certain kind of experience or, eligibility criteria to be a part of this course. There's nothing of that sort, but some prior experience in Agile is definitely beneficial for you to understand contextual, topics or curriculum. I mean, whatever topics that you'll be learning, you'll be able to understand them better and, of course, apply them better at your job. Okay, so this training is completely online, and all of these cohorts are also available on weekdays and weekends. Now, Bryan, I mean, one more question that people might have is, who is this course really for? So, I mean, do they have to be from a certain background, or what is it like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, one of the reasons I think Agile and Scrum in particular are so well embraced by many organizations is it applies to such a wide range of roles within the organization. So we've got product managers and product owners. They're going to get a lot from this course because this really speaks to something that's important to them, which is how do I deliver value to my customers? My customers are the ones that want these features, these enhancements. Agile and Scrum are a really effective way to kind of deliver that value quickly to our customers. Project managers, often as a project manager coordinating 1, 2, 3 multiple teams together. These Agile practices are really valuable in helping teams collaborate and also deliver and get things complete so you can track against your project commitments. Business analysts, if you are currently in the role of a business analyst, one of the things that Agile is going to introduce is sort of some lighter weight means in which you can capture requirements, communicate them to a team, and all that is so we can deliver things more quickly. So there's a lot of good benefits as a business analyst taking this course. Now, you might be a member of a Scrum team already, and I can't tell you how many organizations I work with that are using Scrum. In fact, many have been using Scrum for years. But when you look at how they're using Scrum, you quickly discover that maybe there's some of these ideas and concepts that didn't get fully understood or they're not just applying very effectively. So taking this course and bringing it back into your Scrum team can often be very illuminating because you might say, hey, guess what? I just took this course and our 1-hour daily Scrum should only be 15 minutes. So you can kind of share those observations taking the course. If you're making the move to Scrum, maybe you've got a new organizational leader that really believes passionately in the benefits of Agile and Scrum and saying everyone has to move to Scrum. This is going to help you understand a lot of the why behind that motivation. So it's going to talk a little bit more about the intent of these behaviors. And then finally, if this is something you want to just pursue a career in, whether that's as, sort of a coach, or maybe even, you want to do some training in this. This is a foundation that's going to be very valuable and really kind of almost necessary to take that direction.
Right. Great. Thanks so much, Bryan, for highlighting that. So I'm just going to take you through the course just one more time, quick summary. So like I said, you've got cohorts both on weekdays and weekends. So one cohort is coming up on the 12th of October. You've got another weekend cohort starting next weekend, and the weekday classes start on the 14th of October, right? So remember what I said about complementary courses. You get 2 mock test papers as well, just to be, you'll be better prepared for the exam, and all of the other features that I mentioned. Yes. So I've shared the link to the course here. You could take a look at those details. And if you really like the course and you feel that this is something that you might want to take up, you could let us know if you are interested in enrolling. Okay, so I'm just going to be launching a quick poll on Zoom. Please make sure you give a yes if you want to be contacted by a learning advisor. So remember, from whatever region you are from, you will be contacted at a time that's suitable to you. So remember, if you're from the US, you will have people talk to you during your daytime. Yeah. So just make sure you choose a yes in case you are interested to take up the course. And if you still like to explore your options and want to explore other Agile and Scrum certifications, you can just head on to simplylearn.com. Just click on the link that I gave you on the chat, and you will find other courses as well. Okay, so there are safe courses. There's if you're interested in project management, also is an option. You could check out those certifications as well. Yeah, but for now, we're just taking interests for the CSM certification training program. So if you're interested, please leave a yes on the poll. Okay. People on YouTube, if you're wondering what you can do to express your interest, just click on the link that's given in the description. All you have to do is to give in your details for you to be contacted by a learning advisor. Alternatively, if you feel that this is something that you want to take up immediately, you can do that. You can just click on enroll now, check your payment options, and then enroll. Now, the reason why we've not shared the course fee here is that, again, currency differences. So we don't want to confuse you with this because we've got people from across the world. So just click on the landing page from whichever country you're from. You should be able to see the course fee in your currency. Okay. If you're not able to access the link, then I'll just give you QR code here. Here's the QR code for you to open up the link to the course. Yeah, sorry. Yes. How do you enroll is just by clicking on enroll now on the course page, or if you would want to be contacted and you want to explore, just understand more about the program, you click a yes on the poll. Okay. Yes, so I've already given you the upcoming cohort dates. One is coming up on the 14th of October, the weekday cohort. In fact, there's one cohort beginning on the 12th of October as well. So if you want to join as soon as this Saturday, then it's a great option for you. Or you can also join the next cohort, next weekend cohort. Okay. So someone said that some of you felt you don't have a certification training that fits your work schedule. These weekend cohorts are your best option there. Okay. Okay, I think we'll head to Q&A now. I'll keep the poll live. So, Brian, do you want to take questions? If you guys have more questions, you could put them on the Q&A.
Yeah. So lots of great questions being asked already. I've been answering a few of them as you've been chatting away there. One question that's come up a few times, and I think warrants spending a little bit of time on. There are different certifications out there. So what makes Agile and Scrum in particular a little bit unusual is that there's two main certification bodies. There's the Agile Alliance, and they offer the Certified Scrum Master. And then we have scrum.org, and they offer the professional Scrum Master. So there's the CSM and the PSM. They sound very similar. They both talk about Scrum. They're both provided by two organizations that are very invested in Agile and in Scrum in particular. So they're both very strong. The CSM, and I guess we could dig into why, but the CM is just a more well-recognized certification in this space. So that's probably the one that most organizations are going to be familiar with. Oftentimes they'll look for that particular certification because it's just something they've heard a lot about. But the PSM is very, very strong as well, and it also covers the same topics. So you could look at either, but generally for this group, if you're trying to make that decision, which one should I go with? My professional recommendation would be the CSM would be the best of the two options. I did see another great question. What are the books that I can read for preparation or Agile certification? Well, the very, very first one we would want to start with, and there might be two. The first is the Scrum Guide itself. If you are interested in becoming a certified Scrum Master, you're going to need to read the Scrum Guide. But the good news is it's only 13 pages. It's freely available online. So it's quite accessible. It's a pretty easy read compared to some other certifications. So that's a good starting point. The other one is what I mentioned earlier, is the Agile Manifesto. And you go to agilemanifesto.org. Good news, it's not even a book. It's just a webpage. And it's going to tell you about 4 values and then 12 principles. So that's something else that you'd want to spend some time on. Now, after that, if you're just interested in getting a Scrum certification, that's really all you need. You just need to get familiar with the Scrum Guide and the Agile Manifesto. Take this course and you are in good shape. Now, there's more to Agile than just Scrum. There's lots of other ideas and techniques. So if that's something else you want to kind of expand and broaden your awareness of, there's quite a bit of literature out there that you might want to spend some time reviewing and reading. There's really so many books, it would be hard for me to kind of give you a definitive list. But what I can say is the authors of Scrum, are Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber. They wrote a book. In fact, Sutherland's quite prolific, writes lots of books. And one is, I'm going to get it wrong here, getting getting twice the work done in half the time, something like that. So he's got a very good book that kind of talks about the benefits that you get from using Scrum. And he works with lots of organizations. He's very empirical, so it's very facts and data oriented. So that's another good one to consider. So that should hopefully give you some guidance on what books to kind of consider. We answered PSM versus CSM, which is more valuable. They're really both the same. I think the CSM is probably a better place to start. Someone's asking, hey, I've got 5 years experience as a Scrum Master. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. What's my next move? Good question. So you've already been, fair amount of experience as a Scrum Master. So I think you might want to start thinking about how do you scale Agile. So how do we take Agile from what sort of a one team to many teams? That's where the scaled Agile framework might be a path to consider. Or you might say, hey, I've really enjoyed my time as a Scrum Master. I want to broaden my knowledge of some of these other Agile roles. I think the product owner is a great path forward. So something else you might want to consider to enrich your kind of career is to get a certification as a product owner. Now, I think this next one, what is the process on to go for this revalidation? Might need a little guidance on what we mean there. But one thing that did come up, and actually we probably should have spent a moment or two on, is when you get your CSM, you passed it, you got your certification, Parna can really relate a little bit, so you have to maintain it. So if you don't maintain and renew it, it will expire after 2 years. So the PMP is something similar. It gives you 3 years, but for the CSM, you've got 2 years. And the way you do that is by taking, I think they call it Scrum education units, and that just is training. And courses like this, webinars for an hour, will contribute to your Scrum education units to maintain that certification that you have to renew every 2 years. Okay, Aparna, maybe this one is one you can jump in on. If we miss a live class during the course, is it possible to make it up in a different session?
Where's this question? Oh, on the Q&A box.
Yes, Q&A. Yep. Do you see that one? So it sounds like someone couldn't attend one of the live classes. I think
During the course. Okay. So I think all our Scrum courses are are accessible to you through the Scrum learning platform. It's not the Simplilearn's learning platform. So I'm sure there's learning material that's available, but that's an anonymous question. You could ask that to a learning advisor. And let's say you miss a live class and you are in the course, you didn't have this information earlier, you could reach out to our support team as well. So there's a 24/7 support that helps you with such queries or anything that's related to the course. Someone also had a question about how long is the course. So it's a 3-day cohort, again, an anonymous attendee, 16 hours of training, whether you take the weekday cohort or the weekend classes. Yeah. Yes, I think I'm done there.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, I think you talked about how much the course is.
How much the course is? Yes. So I've asked them to check it on the course page because it was becoming too much for us to give it in INR, USD, and all of the other currencies that are there. It's just simpler if I've given them the link, so it's easier if they just take a look at the course fee and then take whatever steps they want to.
Got it. Yeah, they can find that information pretty readily. How many class sessions is your weekday class? How many weeks does the course last? So I don't know if that's something you want to.
We just answered that. So it's a 3-day course.
Yeah.
And, so are you offering multiple certifications? No, there's just one cohort that focuses on one certification. You obviously don't want to be doing too many things while you've enrolled for one course. So yeah, just one certification there. I think the rest.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, this next one is a certification required for professional career of the PMP certified person, as in PMP, the Agile also covered. So I think how I might be interpreting that is if you have a PMP, you've already got that project management professional certification. First off, congratulations. It's a tough certification to get. But the second part is now you want to enrich this with some Agile ideas and concepts and practices. So this is where the PMI has its own certification. It's called the Agile Certified Professional, the ACP, and it's a great fit if you already have your PMP. And I'll tell you, there's 2 good reasons for this. Not only does it get you really good exposure to all the other Agile practices in addition to Scrum. So you don't just learn about Scrum, but you learn a lot about the other practices out there. But in addition, when you have to renew your PMP, you can also renew your PMI ACP with the same PDUs. So we kind of get kind of a double benefit there. So I think that's a good path if you already have your PMP. And let's see, we've got someone who's an enterprise architect. Is this something that would be good to get a certification? My simple answer is yes, absolutely. I think this is a great investment of time. Often as an enterprise architect, you're working with a variety of teams, kind of establishing standards, and guardrails, and governance that you want teams to adhere to. So understanding how they work, learning a little bit more about their planning events, the reviews. Those are great places as an enterprise architect to spend time with teams. So I think this would be an excellent investment in your time if this is something that your organization is using.
Right.
Now, we talked a bit about the Scrum career growth as a Scrum Master. There are a few paths. You know, we talked about product owners. You kind of become a product owner as a Scrum Master. That's a nice evolution of that sort of skill. The other is you might want to move into a scaled Agile framework. You might even become an Agile coach at some point if you've been doing this a long, long time. So there's lots of good paths that you can explore as a Scrum Master, and it's got a very rich, very, very exciting, kind of vibrant career path that you can follow. CV question, not so sure that fits in.
We don't do CV reviews for certification courses. Again, an anonymous question. So I'm not sure what you're looking for exactly. Okay, maybe you could just check out sources that are online, just open source CVs and then use that. So I'm not really sure why you asked that question. Anyway.
Yeah, might need a little bit more information there.
Mhm.
Okay, is the Scrum Master an entry-level job? Always an interesting question. So a few things about a Scrum Master. I think a lot of organizations, frankly, do view it as a bit of an entry-level job, but it's a very, very important role. And a big part of it is because it's enabling the team. So the team is the one that's doing the work. That work delivers value. Scrum Master is going to help enable the team to get that work done. And very importantly, resolve any bottlenecks, issues, anything that's preventing the team finishing the work. And this is often where if you're too early in your career or an organization as a Scrum Master, it can be hard to resolve those blockers, those issues. So I'm not so sure. I would personally think that a Scrum Master is an entry-level job. I do think some organizations have that view, but we do want a person in that role who can help the team get unstuck. If they're stopped in getting the work done, a good Scrum Master understands that and finds ways to resolve those blockers.
Got
Okay, so someone has a PMI ACP, CM as a subset, does it make sense to go for CS? Oh yeah, I mean, if you already have your PMI ACP, I wouldn't encourage you to take the time to get your CSM. First off, I don't think you'd learn anything particularly new here. So, you're not expanding your body of knowledge. I think you'd be much better positioned now with a PMI ACP to focus on your scaled Agile. And there's other scaling frameworks, by the way. Scaled Agile framework is sort of the great big one that's in the industry. But there's also Scrum at Scale. So there's a version of the Scrum scaling methodology that's available. There's other frameworks like LESS. The PMI has one called Disciplined Agile Delivery, or DAD. So there are a couple paths you could consider there. But if your question is, should I go for the scaled Agile frame? Yeah, absolutely. That's a good fit for where you are right now. All right, let's see. We've got I've taken the PMP certification, Simplilearn. And now I'm looking for internship program. Okay, a lot of questions about internship. I guess Simplilearn is a very popular place to want to work, Aparna. So lots of people want to be interns there.
Yeah, I guess you could, after you have taken a course. I mean, I'm just kidding. So you can find opportunities on LinkedIn, or relevant opportunities on LinkedIn. Of course, Simplilearn is a great place to work. So also Simplilearn's LinkedIn page, and maybe.
Okay, keep your fingers crossed. And then I see that there is there a boot camp? I do know, and we've had some similar master classes on a few of these topics. There are sort of bundled offerings that provide, postgraduate certification style degrees. So I think look at your upcoming webinar list. I think you'll see opportunities where there's kind of more of a boot camp experience that you could consider.
Yeah, yeah.
We're making good progress here. Let's see. Is it required having a technical certification? No, you don't. The nice thing about the CSM in particular is it spans all the different industries, different roles, and even the types of work people are doing. So no, it's not really specific to a technical background, no technical certification. I promise you there's no code in the CSM certification, no math either. It's very, very accessible. So yeah, no prerequisites required.
Amazing. I think that's a relief to hear. I think we're done with questions, Bryan. Thanks so much for your time today. It was amazing as usual. So we'd like to take feedback of our audience now. So I'm just going to launch another poll, a lot of polls today for you to answer. You're going to give us a rating. Just tell me how satisfied you are with how we conducted the session. Just leave us a rating here. Someone has a question on YouTube. Okay, is it related to quality assurance? I am not sure. You can answer this better, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in fact, Agile puts a lot of emphasis on quality. And so in fact, what you're going to hear oftentimes is sort of quality at the source. And this whole idea of quality is something we want to, as we start doing work, in fact, there's a term called test-driven development or test-first development. So we always want to think of what test can we create and then write code or solve a problem that satisfies that test. So if you're in the QA space, I think this would be an excellent place to spend some time getting your certification in. And then it opens up a lot of interesting paths on how do we automate testing and regress our testing. So these are topics that people in the QA space often very interested in. So Agile has some, I think, very progressive ideas in this space. And I think getting a foundation in sort of Agile concepts and practices, particularly Scrum, would be very valuable.
Right, got it. Thanks, Bryan, for answering that. Arslan, I hope we answered your question there. So I think now we're done with all the polls. Thank you so much for giving us a 4 and a 5. We'll share that with you, Bryan, as well. There you go. Just a quick look. And now I'm just going to launch the poll that has you'll have to give your name there in order to receive the certificate. So I'm going to keep this open for a while for all of you to give in your names because we receive a lot of emails that say you've attended this session, but you couldn't receive the certificate. So make sure you enter your name correctly. And but great. Thanks so much, Bryan.
Yeah, great session. I hope it was a great day. So
yes,
we'll connect with you real soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Bye. Great. So we're just going to keep the poll live for another couple of minutes and we'll end the session there. Thank you, Arslan, for your time. If people on YouTube, you could drop us an email at askus@simplilearn.net if your course specific questions are not answered. Yeah. Yes, or if you're still interested in the course, you can go head on to the course page. People on Zoom, you could check the chat. People on YouTube, you can check the video description to understand more about the course. Whatever your questions are, you could answer them. Certification exam, not sure. Okay, I don't think it's included, but let me check. Usually the course page is the best place to find all this information. So no, the exam voucher is not included, but you do get access to $500 worth of courses and 2 mock test papers, not the exam voucher. Great, but you could cross-check this as well. And if you have selected a yes on the poll, you will receive a call from a learning advisor. So, you could just ask these questions to them. Great. So about 83% of you have responded. I'm going to keep this poll live until all of you respond, and then we'll be done. So expect a certificate tomorrow or Monday because we don't work on the weekends. But most probably you should be receiving the certificate tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think we're done here. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. And it was an amazing session. It was wonderful hosting the session for all of you. I hope you found it useful. And I hope all of your questions are now answered. Okay. So great. All the best. All the best to all of you. And looking forward to seeing some of you in our courses. Yeah. So I'm just going to end this poll. Expect your certificate, like I said, in the next couple of days. I'll see you in another session. We've